There are moments in sports that defy logic, statistics, and even belief. Moments that seem so impossible, they make you question if the game itself is scripted. But every once in a while, an athlete comes along who rewrites those odds, who breaks the boundaries of what's even possible. For basketball, that man was Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It's November 6th, 1990. A 27-year-old Jordan stands on the court, visibly frustrated. His Chicago Bulls are off to a sluggish start, 2 straight losses, and now, with seconds ticking down against the Boston Celtics, they're staring at a third. For most teams, that's just another rough patch in an 82-game season. But for Michael Jordan, this night would quietly mark the beginning of one of the most absurd streaks in NBA history, one that even die-hard fans rarely talk about. Because from that night forward, over the next 2,777 days, Michael Jordan and any team he led would never lose 3 games in a row. Not once, not in the regular season, not in the playoffs, not during any of his 7 active years with the Bulls after that moment. 626 games, 500 regular season battles, 126 playoff wars, not a single stretch of 3 consecutive losses. To put it simply, this wasn't just dominance. This was control over chaos. In a league where even super teams stumble, Jordan's Bulls never fell apart. Not for 3 straight nights, not even once. And when you realize how statistically impossible this streak truly is, you start to understand why many call it the most underrated, yet most unbelievable accomplishment of Michael Jordan's entire career. Because this wasn't just about winning games, it was about never letting defeat linger. Not even for 3 nights in a row. Section 1. The night everything changed. It's November 6th, 1990, a cold night in Boston. The Chicago Bulls are on the verge of their 3rd straight loss to start the season. Michael Jordan, already a global superstar at 27, looks restless. He's been here before, dropping games early, hearing critics whisper that the Bulls can't win when it counts. But this night would unknowingly ignite one of the most extraordinary streaks the NBA has ever seen. The Celtics were no pushovers. They were still a proud franchise led by veterans like Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, and a rowdy Boston Garden crowd that loved nothing more than watching Jordan struggle. The Bulls fought hard, but they fell short again. It was their 2nd loss in a row, and one more would make it 3 straight. For most teams, that's just part of the grind. But for Michael Jordan, losing 3 in a row wasn't acceptable. It was personal. He wasn't just chasing wins, he was chasing control. That game, that exact week, became the final time for nearly 9 years that Michael Jordan would experience back-to-back-to-back losses. Starting from November 7th, 1990, until the day he retired for the 2nd time in 1998. Jordan never allowed it to happen again. No press conference speech, no public vow. Just a silent switch that flipped in his mind, a refusal to ever let defeat spiral into habit. The night the Bulls nearly collapsed became the night Jordan decided they never would again. Section 2. The birth of an impossible streak. When the Bulls took the floor again on November 7th, 1990, something shifted. You could see it in Jordan's eyes, a quiet rage, a laser focus that didn't need words. Chicago dominated that night, snapping their losing streak and unknowingly beginning one of the most extraordinary runs in sports history. From that day forward, for the next 2,777 days, Michael Jordan would never experience 3 consecutive losses again. Think about that for a second. The NBA is a grueling league. Teams play 82 games a season, with brutal travel, back-to-backs, injuries, and slumps. Even the greatest dynasties, the Showtime Lakers, the Spurs, the Warriors, have stumbled into 3-game losing streaks at some point. But not Jordan. Not once. Over the next 8 years, across 7 active seasons, he played 626 games, 500 in the regular season, and 126 in the playoffs. And not a single time did his Bulls lose 3 in a row. He retired twice, won 6 championships, and built a global empire of excellence. And through it all, he kept that streak alive. This wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was dominance, carved out of discipline. Jordan had an almost pathological obsession with never letting defeat pile up. Every loss fueled the next victory. Every setback became an immediate mission. For nearly a decade, Jordan turned the natural rhythm of winning and losing into a law of his own. 2 losses were tolerable. 3 were forbidden. Section 3. The odds of perfection. To truly understand how insane this streak was, you need to look at the math. In 2010, a researcher from the Harvard Sports Analysis Collective, Ben Blatt, decided to crunch the numbers behind Jordan's run. What he found was nothing short of absurd. According to his analysis, the odds of a typical NBA team, even a strong one, going that long without losing 3 games in a row were roughly 1 in 1 quadrillion. That's 1 in 1,100 trillion. To put that into perspective, the odds of a high school basketball player making it to the NBA are about 1 in 3,200, becoming an NBA champion, 1 in 22,500, winning an Olympic gold medal, 1 in 662,000, hitting the Powerball jackpot, 1 in 300 million. And yet, Michael Jordan's streak, the refusal to lose 3 straight, was statistically more improbable than all of those combined. You could simulate the entire NBA season millions of times and almost never see this happen again. Because even the best teams occasionally have an off week, a shooting slump, a tough road trip, a back-to-back against title contenders. But for nearly a decade, Jordan defied those odds. Year after year, team after team, era after era. It's not just that he won, it's that he never let losing take control. Mathematically, it shouldn't have happened. But then again, Michael Jordan was never a math problem. He was the answer. Section 4. The team behind the streak. Now it's fair to ask, wasn't this a team accomplishment? After all, basketball is 5-on-5, and Jordan didn't play alone. The Bulls of the 90s were loaded with talent: Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Dennis Rodman, Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, and of course, guided by the zen-like genius of Phil Jackson. But when you dig deeper, the streak becomes undeniably Jordan's. Why? Because even when teammates came and went, when lineups shifted, roles changed, and rosters reset after his first retirement, the streak lived and died by one constant: Michael Jordan. When Jordan stepped away in 1993 to play baseball, the Bulls' iron streak dissolved. Without him, they were still good. Pippen even had an MVP-caliber season, but the invincibility vanished. The psychological edge was gone. When Jordan returned in March 1995, it wasn't just his scoring that changed everything. It was his mentality. The same fire that refused to lose 3 in a row reignited the entire franchise. This streak wasn't a coincidence. It was a reflection of leadership by example. Jordan's presence demanded accountability. If they lost 2 straight, everyone knew the next game wasn't optional. It was war. Teammates often said MJ had an aura that wouldn't allow complacency. He'd drag you to victory if he had to, even if that meant tearing you apart in practice the day before. So yes, the Bulls won as a team, but that unbreakable standard, that was all Jordan. Section 5. When the streak almost died, even the greatest streaks are tested, and Jordan's knew he ended more than once. Over 8 years, there were several nights where the Bulls were this close to dropping that dreaded 3rd straight loss. And every time, Michael Jordan found another gear. One of the earliest scares came on April 9, 1991. The Bulls had just lost 2 straight, facing the tough New York Knicks. It was a grind. Every possession mattered. Chicago escaped by just 2 points, thanks to Jordan's relentless 34-point performance. The streak lived another day. Then came February 1, 1993, against the Utah Jazz. The Bulls were again on the edge, 2 losses in a row, the team exhausted and road-weary. But Jordan, sensing what was at stake, took control. He dropped 37 points, grabbed rebounds, dished assists, and Chicago pulled off a narrow 4-point win. Fast forward to 1996, the legendary 72-10 season. Even then, the pressure of perfection loomed. Facing the Golden State Warriors, the Bulls barely survived with a 4-point victory. Jordan scored 40, almost single-handedly keeping their streak and their pride alive. And perhaps the most famous close call, June 11, 1997, NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz. Chicago had lost 2 straight. The Jazz were surging. Then came the flu game. Jordan, pale and dehydrated, still put up 38 points to seal the win by 2. Every time the streak stood on the brink, Jordan refused to blink. He wasn't playing to win. He was playing to never lose again. Section 6. The psychology of refusal. What made this streak truly remarkable wasn't just Jordan's skill. It was his mindset. Losing to him wasn't just a scoreboard event. It was an emotional scar. Every defeat dug deep, and instead of sulking, he transformed that sting into fuel. Jordan had what psychologists call refusal motivation, the mental state where failure doesn't just hurt. It terrifies you into performing better. Most athletes bounce back after losses. Jordan detonated. If the Bulls ever lost 2 in a row, teammates would talk about the eerie silence in the locker room afterward. No jokes, no smiles, just Jordan, seething, waiting for the next game. Phil Jackson once said, "Michael didn't need to be motivated. He motivated everyone else by how much losing bothered him." The third loss wasn't an option because Jordan wouldn't allow it to exist in his reality. This obsession showed up in his practice habits too. He'd berate teammates who took drills lightly. He treated scrimmages like Game 7s. Even if someone outplayed him in practice, it wasn't forgotten. He'd make sure it never happened again. And that mentality became contagious. The Bulls didn't just follow Jordan's talent, they mirrored his intolerance for defeat. Losing 2 straight wasn't just a setback, it was a crisis. And crises in Jordan's world demanded immediate correction. In the end, this streak wasn't powered by luck or stats. It was powered by obsession, the unshakable, almost maniacal refusal to ever accept losing as normal. Section 7. The modern comparison. To grasp just how outrageous Jordan's streak was, you have to compare it with the modern NBA, an era filled with super teams, advanced analytics, and sports science. Even with all that, no one has come close. Take the Golden State Warriors, for example, the most dominant team of the 2010s. Over their historic 5-year run, they won 3 championships, broke records, and revolutionized basketball. Yet even they lost 3 games in a row, 4 separate times. The 2000 to 2002 Lakers, a dynasty led by Shaq and Kobe that three-peated, also couldn't sustain it. Their longest stretch without 3 consecutive losses lasted under 3 years before they hit a skid in February 2002. The Toronto Raptors, the 2019 NBA champions, didn't make it a single season without losing 3 straight. The same goes for the Spurs, Heat, and Celtics dynasties. All phenomenal teams, but all human. In fact, according to historical data, no current NBA team has gone even 90 games, barely a single season plus playoffs, without losing 3 straight. Most franchises today reset to 0 within weeks. That's the beauty of Jordan's run. It wasn't just dominance. It was sustained perfection in a system built for chaos. Teams change, players age, schedules punish. But for 8 straight years, through 626 battles, Jordan's teams never folded thrice in a row. He didn't just win championships. He controlled momentum itself. And that's a skill no modern player has truly replicated. Section 8. The numbers behind the legend. Numbers don't lie, and in Jordan's case, they scream impossibility. From November 1990 to June 1998, his Bulls played 626 total games, 500 in the regular season and 126 in the playoffs, without a single three-game skid. That's nearly a decade of uninterrupted dominance. Even more astonishing, during this period, the Bulls maintained an average winning percentage of around .750, meaning they won 3 out of every 4 games for 8 straight years. That consistency is unheard of. Most dynasties peak for a few years before fading. Jordan's teams just never did. Break it down further, and the streak spans across 2 eras of the Bulls. The first three-peat, 1991 to 1993, when Jordan, Pippen, and Grant conquered the league. The second three-peat, 1996 to 1998, when Rodman, Kerr, and Kukoc joined the dynasty. Between those 2 eras, Jordan took an 18-month break to play baseball. When he returned, in 1995, the streak picked right up as if nothing had changed. Analysts have pointed out that if you combined every NBA team's current no 3-loss streak, they still wouldn't equal Jordan's 626. That's how absurd it is. Statistically, it's one of the greatest records in all of sports, not just basketball. And yet, it's rarely talked about. No banner for it, no trophy, no award. Just pure, silent domination, measured in numbers so rare they feel like fiction. For Jordan, it wasn't about chasing stats. It was about refusing collapse. Section 9. The legacy of control. What made Michael Jordan different wasn't just his ability to dominate opponents, it was his ability to control outcomes. Every great player wins. Few dictate the very rhythm of winning and losing like he did. The no 3-loss streak is the ultimate symbol of that control. In the NBA, momentum is everything. Lose one game and it can spiral. Confidence drops, energy fades, the locker room gets tense. But Jordan's Bulls never let that spiral happen. His mindset created an invisible force field around the team, a mental barrier that prevented losing from spreading. When Chicago lost 2 straight, something switched. The practices were harder. The focus was sharper. Jordan became more ruthless. Teammates like Steve Kerr and Judd Buechler recalled that after consecutive losses, practice felt like a war zone. Jordan made sure they snapped back. This consistency is why the Bulls of the 90s never felt like they were surviving. They were always attacking, even when behind. Jordan didn't just reset the team's energy, he reprogrammed their psychology. That's what made this streak more than a stat. It was a reflection of a culture of discipline, vengeance, and control that lived in every player who shared the court with him. Long after the championships and MVPs fade in memory, this streak stands as proof of who Jordan really was. Not just a scorer, not just a champion, but a man who never surrendered control, not even to losing itself. Section 10. In a league of his own, when you stack up the greatest players of all time, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Steph Curry, each one has a case built on brilliance. Championships, MVPs, scoring titles, records. But none of them, not a single one, has a streak like Michael Jordan's. A data chart comparing the longest no 3-loss streaks among legends says it all. Giannis, Harden, Durant, around 180 games. Shaq, Kobe, Steph, hovering near 300. Jordan, sitting alone at the top with 626 games, double anyone else. No close second. It's not just an impressive stat, it's a testament to sustained greatness. This streak doesn't live in highlight reels or ESPN montages. It's buried quietly beneath the championships, the dunks, the game winners, a hidden code that defines Jordan's DNA. Because what this streak really says is, when Michael Jordan was on your team, you never fell apart. Even time couldn't stop it. Through retirements, roster changes, and shifting eras, the standard stayed the same. It wasn't luck or some magical team chemistry. It was a man's willpower made contagious. That's why this record might never be broken. The league has evolved, the game is faster, analytics are sharper, but the mentality? That's the rare part. The refusal to lose 3 times in a row, no matter the circumstances, is something that can't be coached or copied. It's what separates the great from the legendary, and the legendary from the mythical. So when you talk about Michael Jordan's greatness, remember this. It wasn't just how much he won. It was how he never let losing win. For nearly a decade, defeat knocked twice and never got through the door.